Hello and welcome back to Carlyle times 2. This is Carlyle joining you today. So anyway, we are going to continue on discussing how to play the TCG Online Pokemon card game. So if you were joining us in our last video, we kind of introduced you to some of the different icons that you see at the top starting in your upper left, kind of what's underneath those, and started talking a little about those. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about building a deck. Now, when you go in here, you'll see as you go along, you'll start to build your own decks, but you'll have a couple decks that you will have from your trainer challenges over here, the trainer challenges. And you start off with certain decks, and what you will do is build those decks as you go along. Now, I'm going to go to the gold. This is where you begin. And what we recommend doing is just starting with Zach and kind of working along. But we'll talk about the trainer challenges a little later. So going back to your deck manager, again, this is where you see the decks that you have or that you've made. So what we're going to do today is to build a deck. So what you want to do is you want to select create a new deck. Now, you'll have different kinds: Deck Wizard, Standard, Expanded, Legacy, Unlimited, and Import. The two that you're really going to use more than anything else will probably be Standard and Expanded. If you want to be able to use the full capacity of your cards, Expanded is probably going to be the best way to go. And so we'll just start with that today. So now I've clicked on Expanded, and what you'll see now is three different headings. You'll see Pokemon, Trainer, and Energy. And what's going to happen here is going to show me all the different cards that I have to create a deck. Now, as you know, you can notice there are 0 cards in my deck at this point, and you can have up to 60. Now, a couple quick things. Usually with any card, you can't have more than 4 of those cards. So you may want to make a certain type of deck. Now, in this situation, as you see, you have grass decks, fire, water, electricity, psychic, fighting, dark, steel, fairy, dragon, and normal. Now I'm going to go ahead and reset those. It kind of shows you some things you could do. You can search by attack costs, in other words, how much it costs for a specific attack, or you may even want to have some that you have 0 retreat cost. In other words, when you want to pull something back without losing the energies that are attached to it. You can also choose by stage. So for instance, you could do basics, stage 1, stage 2, these are evolutions, a VMAX, which is obviously an evolution, V Star, which is an evolution off of the Vs, V Union, Break, Mega Evolutions, and Restored. Now, if you go down here too, you can search for different characteristics within these, and what you do is you pick one. For instance, let's go with basic, and we'll see what we have. So when you have basic, looking at the carousel, everything that's here is a basic card. In other words, it doesn't require another card to be able to play. Now, I'm going to move it to this search, and then we can also look at it from the specific listed Pokemon. Now, again, I can look at these by name. If I want to sort them by horsepower, by HP, I can do it this way. So, for instance, my Reshiram here has 270 HP, and that's a fire, and so on, so on. Evolutions. This one, like I said, there are no evolutions. Another thing that's really important is ability. Now, if you notice with ability, you notice this check mark. This means that you have an ability. For instance, on this Wimpod, Punk Out. If your opponent has any Pokemon V in play, this Pokemon has no retreat cost. So if you were to play this card, and there's a Pokemon V in play, you could pull this back without losing any energies that are attached to it. Or if you notice down here with the 3 stars, down in the lower right of the card, you have 3 stars. That would be the retreat cost. So rather than having to have 3 cards, 3 different energy cards attached, I don't have to have any if it's a V on the other side. Now, if it's a GX, EX, or anything else, basic Pokemon that's not a V, then I would have to use 3 different energies to retreat. So it wouldn't apply. But these are abilities, and as you can see, I'll click a different one. Tropius has Curative Bower, things like this. We'll go to Zamazenta, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon VMAX, and so on. So that's the first filter. Now, stage 1, of course, is the first evolution. So these are all going to be ones that evolve from something. So we'll click on Vaporeon. And as you see in the upper left, stage 1 evolves from an Eevee. Now, if you look on the list and the evolves from, if I want to find all the cards I have that evolve from Eevee, I have this. So I have Jolteon, for instance. Jolteon is an Eevee evolution. So I can go through here, I can search that way, or I can simply search by the evolves from and just kind of go all the way down here. And all of these cards that I have evolve from Eevee. Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon. And these are different Jolteons, by the way. If you notice, different abilities. So these are from different decks. So again, you can have different or the same Pokemon from different decks, and so that's an important thing to know. So Leafeon, Glaceon, and of course, as you know, those are all Eevee evolutions or evolutions. Now, let's say I want to look and see all my Pokemon V. So looking at this, these are all of my Pokemon V. Now, of course, Pokemon V are always going to be your basics. So I have these different ones. Now, let's say I want to narrow it down to electric. So now what I see is all of my different Vs that are electric. And as you see, my Vmaxes are also that, you know, in V stars are going to be covered in here. So if I have a Jolteon V, in order to play the Vmax, I have to be able to evolve it from the Jolteon V. Luxray, Magnezone, you see the V star, same thing. I have to evolve it from Magnezone V. And so on. So that's how you can do it. So again, lots of different search criteria. If I want to search for GX, I can do that. You get my GX cards. I don't have a lot. I only have 2 GXs. And so on. So what this is important for is that, you know, when you're building your first deck, you may want to see what you have the most of and where you have power. And again, there are lots of different ways to build a deck. And so it's not really important about the strategy today so much as it is about building your deck. So let's just go ahead and start with electric. We're going to roll with electric, and I'm going to remove that. Now, just for ease, I'm going to sort it by HP. So here we go. So I know I have a Pikachu V and a VMAX. I'm going to do that one. I know I have these VMAXs, so I'm going to go ahead and roll these in here. And my GXs, go ahead. And there we go. Okay, so now a lot of people will say, well, why do you throw so many Vs out there? And I will tell you this. Just because it's a V doesn't mean you are going to have a killer deck, because there are cards out there that can prevent damage being done to them. For instance, damage from a V Pokemon, or for instance, a Miltank that has this ability that it can't take damage from a V Pokemon. So I mean, V Maxes, V Stars, things like that. Although, with the Miltank strategy, it would be use a GX or some other kind. And so it's an important thing to have a lot of different kinds. And so you want this, and let's go ahead and the Regielekis, I'm gonna drop 3 on there. All right, so that gives me a couple more. And what you want to do, and again, this really kind of comes down to your strategy, but typically, 15 to 20 Pokemon is going to be good, and you want to make sure that you have all the potential evolutions accounted for. Now, I'm going to normal because normal can use any kind of energy, and so I particularly like to play my Eevee. Let me go in here. Oh, there's my Miltank, so I'll throw a Miltank up. Oh, where's my Miltank? There he is. So I have the Miltank right there, so it prevents all damage by Vs. And let's see what else. I want to go to my EVs. Here we go. Go the opposite direction here. So I have one Eevee that allows me to search for 3 Pokemon V, reveal them, put them in my hand. So I like to put that on. So now you see I have 17, which means that with 17, I have to still go and finish my 60 deck. So I still have, looks like 43 cards that I can play. Now, trainers are the next thing. So one of the good things is that when you search for these, you can search it by item, supporter, stadium, and tool. Now, in particular, I know on my stadium cards, I have a stadium card that is really good for electric type Pokemon. And so what this one is, as you can see these different stadium cards, let's see if I can remember which one it is really quick. Basically, every turn, if anybody has an electric or water type on their bench or in their hand, they can heal 30 energy from it. I think that's it right there. So here it is, the Stormy Mountain. So I definitely want to have that up there, because if I can get that into play, then definitely a good thing. So some people like different stadiums. That's one I use for this one. So now I'm going to look for item and tool cards, because you can play as many of these as you want when you are building a deck or using your cards. Okay, so let's go through here. Trainer's Mail. Again, a lot of people use different ones and a lot of different strategies, but today I'll just kind of give you an idea. Switch cards are really good. I like to throw these up there, particularly because I can switch out an active basic Pokemon with one of my other ones, and then I heal damage to the one that was switched from the active spot. Now, the only downside with this particular switch card is that if you have a V-Star or a V-Max, it will not work. It has to be a basic Pokemon for it to work. Okay, let's see. Now, in here, I'm going to throw 2 more switches up because I always like to have a little extra to be able to get my team out if necessary. Okay, so I go through here, and Rocky Helmet is a good one because every time the Pokemon that this is attached to gets hit, it does 2 damage counters to the attacking Pokemon, which can make or break sometimes. I'm not going to use that right now at this point. The other thing too is energy cards, searching for energy cards. These are really important. I'm going to throw 2 on there because that gives me the opportunity to grab 4. Now again, there are so many different cards and it's really going to depend, but I just want to kind of walk everybody through the basics here. I like the Lucky Helmets as well. I like to put 2 of those because when I have those, anytime I have a active Pokemon wearing that and it gets hit, I get 2 cards. So that really helps from a pull perspective. Now I'm going to keep going here. I know where some of these are that I like to use. And you'll ask yourself, why don't you use the heals? That's why I throw a lot of the switch cards up there. Experience Shares another good one. And again, there's so many different things right here. Now, Evolution Incense is definitely good. When you pull this card, you can search a different evolution Pokemon, reveal it, and put it in your hand, which is tremendously helpful. So I'm going to put that there. Right now I'm at 32 cards. Let's see what else. I'm going to do 1 retrieval. See if I can find it here. Now, I'm not really lucky with flips of the coin. If you are, Crushing Hammer is actually a very obnoxious one. I'll go ahead and throw 2 on there just for fun. Because if you flip a coin and you get heads, you get to remove an energy card from one of the other Pokemon. And I really, really don't like when that happens to me. Because you can pick a Pokemon, it doesn't have to be the active Pokemon. And for some reason, I always seem to get the wrong ones. I get Tails, which really kind of bites. So I tend not to use it, but people seem to, when they battle me, they seem to get it all the time. So we'll go ahead and put it on there for right now. Now, finally, we're going to go through our trainer cards. I'll put this up here for right now. And trainer cards really kind of also depend on your deck. For instance, in this deck, I have lots of Vs. So I'm going to want to be able to pull Vs. So that one I use. I don't use too many draw cards. I do use it when I have ones or different Pokemon that their attacks are tied to the number of cards I have in my hand. So that's definitely good. I have some steel and steel and psychic types that use that, but not really this one. Okay, and this one is put 4 energy cards from your discard pile. So this can be really helpful if I've had some Pokemon knocked out with energy. I pull this and I need to pull energy out. That's 4 easy ones to grab. Flannery is a good one. Let's see what else I've got. I got 39. Got to be really careful not to do too many more, particularly because I'm getting low and I need to make sure. Oh, so this one, Koga's Trap, one of my favorite ones. I used to get nailed with this and it just always made me irritated. 2 Alexanders, and I think that will probably be too basic. I'll go ahead and roll with that for right now. So now I'm at 44, which means I have 16 cards left, and I know I need energies. So I'm going to grab a couple colorless, and then I'm going to go through and find my electric. Da-dun, da-dun. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish it out until I get to 60 cards. 7, 8, 9, 0. Boom. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through. I've got 60 cards, as you see, my deck, 60 cards in deck on the right side. I'm going to go ahead and save this deck. Now here, you can go back through and review what you have, different Pokemon, trainers, and energy cards. And then what you can do is you can set up what kind of coin you want to use, a deck box. We'll just go for electric on this one. And then my card sleeves, these are the ones I have. You can build these as you go. We'll just go ahead and give it a, there we go, the Mew. Save it, and there we go. Now at this point you can go and try it out. So here we've got my deck. I can go down here, it reads new deck 6. I'm going to go ahead and star it, puts it up here, and there it is. So I can see if I need, so when I go through and play it, I may find that I don't like it, or it doesn't work really well. Tried a couple times, and so I may want to go through and remove a card. But anyway, that is how we create a deck, and we hope that this has been kind of a good guide for doing that. Again, the type of deck you have is really going to come back down to strategy. We're not going to talk about that till a little later. But again, go through, practice with it, with the cards you have. If you're building one that requires evolutions, make sure you have the first evolution, second evolution. Make sure you have all the cards that you need to be able to evolve it, because you can't miss one and just throw it up there. For instance, if you have stage 1, you have to have the basic card first before you can play it and actually put it on your deck or into your hand. So just make sure you do that. We'll look at this, we'll play it a little more through, but hopefully this really helped. If you have any questions about this, please make sure you leave a comment in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification button, hit a like, and again, we look forward to talking to you again. We'll be back with some more information on how to play TCG online.